All right, good morning, everyone. Today we're going to look at negative and zero exponents. So zero and negative exponents. The first thing I want to look at is we're going to start out by doing kind of a little building process and looking at what is 3 to the second power. 3 to the second power, as everybody knows, is 3 times 3, which is 9. 3 to the third is 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. And 3 to the fourth is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 81. So to go from each of these, from 81 to 27, you don't multiply down, you're actually dividing by 3 each time. So because you're multiplying by 3 to go this direction, you're timesing by 3, you have to divide by 3 or that direction. So that would mean that going down one step farther would be dividing by 3 again. So 27 divided by 3 is 9. 3 to the first is just equal to 3. So we're dividing by 3 again. So here's where the fun begins. Looking at our terms of our dividing by 3 again, that means that 3 to the 0 is equal to, so if we divide 3 by 3, we get 1. So 3 to the 0 power actually equals 1. And this is actually the case for anything to the 0 power. So 4 to the 0, 5 to the 0, 6 to the 0, they all equal 1. Now the tricky part comes when we start, okay, so we went from 3 here as our exponent to 2 to 1 to 0. So we're counting backwards. So that means that 3 to the negative 0, negative first would be next. So that's equal to, now here's the hard part. So again, we are taking this and we are dividing by, so we divided by 3 here. So we're going to divide by 3 again. So 1 divided by 3 is 1/3. So it means 3 to the negative second, you would divide by 3 again. So 1/3 divided by 3 is actually equal to 1/3 squared, which is 1/9. Okay, so looking at that division by 3 kind of builds up what this negative power and what this 0 power is. So we're looking at some general rules just to kind of give you some ideas. So 0 negative exponents. So 5 to the 0, like I said, anything to the 0 power is going to equal 1. So in general, a to the 0, whatever a is, always equal 1. So it's just kind of a general rule to make sure you guys know what's going on. So that's the 0 power. And it's one of those things you're kind of going to have to memorize. So just think about it, know it, make sure you've got it in your head of what that is. So how would you write out 2 to the negative second in expanded form? So this is where that division part comes. So what happens with these, or how this works, is with a negative, what you do is you write it out as 2, or 1/2 to the second. And that way you have a positive exponent, and you always want to leave things in positive exponents, just easier. But it gives you a chance to have that fraction. So in expanded form, this would equal 1/2 times 2. And then in simplified form, it would be 1/4. So 1/4. So 3 to the negative third would be 1/3 times 3 times 3. So it becomes, because that negative goes to the bottom, so let me write that for you. So it started out being 1/3 to the third with a positive, which is 1/3 times 3 times 3 if you expand it out. So in general, a to the negative b is 1/a to the b. So it leaves in terms of a fraction. So fractions are going to be pretty important in this section. All right. So let's look at some other ones simplifying this. We got -5 to the fourth times -5 to the negative fourth. Now, our rules still apply. So when you multiply before, you still multiply. When you divide before, you still divide. When you add, you still add. So in this case, we are multiplying two exponents of the same base together. So we're timesing those. So that means that we're going to add exponents. So this 4 and that -4. So what you get is -5, and a 5 plus -4 is 0. So -5 to the 0, which is 1. In this case, we are multiplying in. So remember, when you have a power to a power, you're multiplying in. So this is 5 to the -2 times -2, which is 5 to the fourth. Because negative 2 times negative 2 is 4, because those negatives cancel out. All right, so 1 over 4 to the negative second. Just like we had before, 4 to the negative second would go to the bottom of a fraction. In this case, to make the exponent positive, you actually bring it to the top. So all you get is 4 to the second. So 4 to the negative second, get rid of the negative, bring it to the top of a fraction, or it makes it a whole number. All right, so here we've got, so now that we are dividing these, whenever we were dividing, we were subtracting. So this was 3 to the 2 minus negative 1. So chop chop or ding dong, however you think of it. So this equals 3 to the third. So those rules still apply. So when it's a power to a power, you multiply. Two things multiplied, you add. When you're dividing, you subtract. So same rules apply. All right, so take a couple seconds on your own and try these ones out. See how you do. All right, good. So with this, we've got this negative 1, so that just like before, our negative 1 gets brought in as a distributed in. So you get 1 to the negative first all over 8 to the negative first. And like our negatives, like we said before, the negative switches. So if it was on the bottom, it becomes on the top. If it was on the top, it goes to the bottom. So this becomes 8 to the first all over 1 to the first, which 8 to the first is 8. 1 to the first is 1. So that's just 8. Okay, so now we'll distribute this 2n for the second one. So we multiply those, so 5 to the negative second power. And we can't leave those things in negatives, you gotta make it positive. So it becomes 1 over 5 squared. So 1 over 5 squared. All right, so last one we've got today, 6fg to the negative fourth, 2f squared times g. So start out, I'm gonna look at all my numbers. So 6 over 2 can be reduced to 3 over 1. All right, so that's my numbers done. Let's look at my f's. So oops, sorry about that. Let's do that. So I've got an f and an f squared. So again, I would cross subtract those out. So what you're gonna do is it's f over f times f, because f squared is f times f. So one of these is canceled with one of those, and you're left with an f on the bottom. All right, and let's go back to our g's. So we've got g to the negative fourth and g. So what happens with that g to the negative fourth, that gets brought to the bottom of the fraction. So what you're left with is like 1 over g to the fourth times g to the first, and you combine those to be g to the fifth. So 4 plus 1 gives you 5. So g to the fifth. So what we're left with is we don't really need this 1, so that's really not necessary. So it's going to be 3 over fg to the fifth. All right. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me tomorrow in class, and we will see you later.